Then came all four, 100 tons of chemical agents, dropped on Iranian positions as American intelligence mapped the targets. The U.S. knew where the troops were, the coordinates were shared, and everyone in the room understood what kind of weapon would be deployed there. This is in the documents. This is in the declassified record. This is not a conspiracy theory whispered in a corner. This is history that has been confirmed and charted. Iran knows this. Iran has always known this. The question is whether the people asking Iran to surrender have read the same history, or whether they believe that a nation that endured all of this will look at the latest round of strikes and say, all right, we have had enough, we quit. Let's stop for a moment and sit with the weight of what we're describing, not as a policy debate, not as a geopolitical chess match, but as a human story. A mother in Tehran who grew up hearing about the gas attacks, a grandfather who fought in the trenches for 8 years, a generation raised on the story of Khomeini calling the ceasefire, drinking poison because they never wanted to stop fighting. These are not abstractions. These are not talking points. These are the lived interior of a nation that has been pressured, sanctioned, isolated, and bombed for decades by multiple administrations, by multiple coalitions under multiple banners. And every single time someone in a capital far away has predicted the quick collapse, has promised it would be weeks, not months. And every single time the weeks became months, the months became years, and the people who made the prediction quietly moved on to the next thing. Why Iran remained. Then on a July afternoon in 1988, a passenger plane lifted off over the Persian Gulf. 290 people aboard, including 66 children looking out the windows. The USS Vincennes was in the water below, and a decision was made. And Iran Air Flight 605 was shot out of the sky, and 290 people fell into the sea. The United States never apologized. The vice president at the time said publicly he would never apologize for the United States of America, not under any circumstances, never. 290 civilians, 66 of them children, and no apology. And Iran was expected to forget. This is what we are talking about when we say Iran has a long memory. This is what we mean when we say Trump underestimated the depth of the wound. You cannot ask a nation to make peace with a country that shot down its civilians and never said sorry, and then act surprised when they don't surrender quickly. So here we are, 3 months into operation, whatever they're calling it. The supreme leader is gone, the nuclear sites have been struck, and the prediction was weeks, and the weeks are now months, and the anchors are asking questions that history already answered. Iran is not folding, Iran is absorbing, Iran is doing exactly what it has always done. Because this is not new to them. This is not the first time. This is not the worst they have seen, and they know how this chapter reads. Because they wrote the earlier ones in their own blood, on their own land, with their own hands. You cannot bomb a memory out of a nation. You cannot shock and awe people's will. You cannot call a war won in a press conference when the fighting is ongoing and the losses are still real. History is not a footnote. History is a teacher standing in a room. And right now in the year 2026, history is saying, this did not end the way you assumed.
The headline said it would be fast. The briefing said Iran would fold. But history has a way of speaking when the present gets too bold. So let's go back before we go forward, because this story didn't start in 2026. It started decades ago in deserts and in documents, in decisions that were buried, declassified and fixed. It was a September morning when the tanks rolled across the border. Saddam Hussein gave the order and the world mostly looked away. 8 years of war began that day on Iranian soil. 8 years of blood and chemical smoke and trench lines made of clay. Iran stood alone, the oil answered the call. The international community watched to let them fall, but they didn't fall. They kept standing in the rubble, they kept fighting in the smoke. They buried their sons and daughters and they never broke. That is the first thing history is trying to tell us. That is the fact that Washington keeps forgetting. Iran has already lived through the unsurvivable and they are still here. Still standing. Still not surrendering. Yeah, now let us talk about the paperwork, because the paperwork tells a story. There were memos on desks in Washington that nobody wanted to make part of the glory. The Reagan administration knew. The cables came in every morning. Iraqi forces using chemical agents on Iranian troops in the response to those warnings. Yeah. Was silence. Was a tilt toward Baghdad. Was Donald Rumsfeld flying to Baghdad, shaking the hand of the man deploying the gas? Was watered down resolutions at United Nations? Was diplomatic cover stretched across the evidence? Was the word genocide never making it to the podium? Was history written carefully to protect the innocence of those who were not innocent, of those who made the choice to keep the weapons flowing and to silence every voice that said this was illegal, that said this was a crime? Iran heard those voices too, and Iran remembers every time. You cannot bomb a memory out of a nation. You cannot shock and awe a people's will. You cannot call a war in a press conference when the fighting's ongoing and the losses are still real. Yeah. History is not a footnote. History is a teacher standing in the room. And right now, in the year 2026, history is saying, this did not end the way you assumed. There is a town called Halabja, and on a March afternoon in 1988, the sky turned wrong, the air became a weapon, and 5,000 people met a fate that the world called tragic, that the cameras eventually showed, that the diplomats eventually mentioned. Long after the bodies went cold, children were among the dead. Streets, poison gas does not distinguish between soldiers and between the weak. And Iran was watching, Iran was absorbing, Iran was documenting every single thing. Because when you have survived Halabja, when you have watched chemical clouds drift over civilians, you do not look at a distant capital making threats and assume that you are witnessing something new. Iran has seen worse, and Iran is still here. That is not propaganda. That is just the calendar.